Voiceover Coffee Shop, episode number 62.
Welcome to the Voiceover Coffee Shop, where we share our morning with some of the finest names in voiceover. And now, here's your host, voice actor Andrew Morrison.
Hi there. Welcome to the Voiceover Coffee Shop, where we start our day with some of the finest names in voiceover. If you'd like to get to know more about me, be sure to check out my website at andrewdmorrison.com. In this episode, we have a unicorn of a human being. Jenn Henry is a very good friend of mine who's probably getting tired of me calling her all the time. Now, I could give you a laundry list of her credits like I have for most of the talent on the show, but I'm not going to do that this time. What I feel like really matters in this segment is who this amazing woman is. She's an absolute phenomenal talent and has this incredible ability to take all of the things that make up who she is in her past history and shamelessly bring that to her reads. She's a creative and weird and a true empath to the story behind each of the scripts she gets. And so today we're going to talk a bit about riding rhinestone dinosaurs through the cosmos to get the best burger ever. Waterboarding coffee? Is any of this about voiceover? Okay. Putting yourself in a position where your creative elements can play and being accountable for your own choices. All right, I've talked enough. Here she is. Ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between, Jenn Henry. Hi, Jenn. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. So how do you take your coffee in the morning?
Straight into my face.
Straight into your face. You don't add anything into it. You just kind of get the whole pot and just
I would,
pour it
except
right in.
except it's a French press, so I'd probably end up. I would chew on the grounds, though. A splash of almond milk.
Does the waterboarding kind of like help to like get you ready for
It
voiceover
does.
auditions?
It does. It gets me ready for everything. Chewing on the grounds, the extra caffeine is just
Beautiful.
it's the way to go.
Wait,
Gotta-
chewing on the ground. Okay, that. Oh, I thought you meant on the ground. Is that why they call it ground
Chew-
coffee? Because
chewing-
you're
chewing
licking
on-
it right off the ground.
I While the chances of that happening are not high, they're never zero. Okay.
This is true.
Um,
The chances of anything is never zero.
It's never zero.
So what's kind of like your origin story into the voiceover world?
Oh, my origin story into the voiceover world.
Mhm.
Once upon a time, there was a
Uh-huh.
misguided youth who got in trouble in lots of classes
Okay.
and was labeled a behavior problem. And
Mhm.
it turns out that that was just sort of the way a lot of us started, I think, in
It's
that
behavior
and-
problems?
behavior problems, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so general behavior problems, talks too much, daydreaming constantly, does not listen and follow directions. All of these things in school sort of amounted to what I would become, except I follow directions very well now.
Yeah. Kind of got you with those audition scripts.
I have to, yeah, exactly. But it's just, I'm not always married to a spec, but yeah, you know,
Right.
proper labeling, cut and paste,
Mhm.
copy and paste is my friend. I guess the long and the short of it, the thumbnail edition is I was in radio. It ended badly, and my kids came later in life. I was 38 when I had my first, and
Okay.
almost 40 when I had my second. And so the chances the chances of that happening, I was told, were none. But as we were just discussing, never zero.
Right.
And so, given the fact that they were quite, they were my very unexpected, beautiful miracle babies, I wasn't going to go into the regular workforce and have them in daycare and stuff like that. So my radio background dictated that I had a particular skill set.
Mhm.
A nightmare to people like you. And
Right.
so
Right. No announcers, please.
I have a particular set of skills.
Right.
And so I just decided I was going to be a full-time voiceover forever. And to start that when you are on food stamps and unemployment and WIC and anything else that just screams you have zero money, um, and two in diapers. That's just it's a terrible idea.
Right.
So I wouldn't recommend it. And also, if you're just dumb enough, I guess, not to listen to reason, then you're strong enough to make things work. And I think that's what happened. I didn't give the universe an option. There
Right.
wasn't a safety net. I didn't say to myself, if this doesn't pan out, then I always have this. While I did have other skill sets, I do have other skill sets.
Mhm.
Um, I just didn't put any of them out there to be considered. And I've been doing it ever since. And it sucked. It was hard. It was really
I
hard.
bet. What were you doing when you were first getting into VO? Like, where were you finding auditions? Like, were you marketing yourself? Like, how did you like start breaking into the industry?
Elance. I found contract a pay to play at the
Hmm.
time, contractor site pay to play called Elance, which I think ultimately morphed into what is now Zendesk,
Okay.
maybe. And it was, 10 tokens in a dream, baby.
Yeah.
And also Voice 123. At the time, it had a really, really strong community led by an incredible guy called Stephen Lowell.
Okay.
And it was a very active community with an Facebook page and so forth and so on. And they did contests. And when they did these contests, it was for membership. And at the time, I think there was just one membership. So they would give away 3 months membership, 9 months membership, whatever. And I actually managed to win a couple of those, so I didn't have to pay for Voice 123 for the first, ultimately, probably for the first year and change I was on it.
Okay.
And that made all the difference in the world. All the difference in the world. Because I had access to the platform. I learned how the algorithm worked.
Hmm.
And I don't even know if they have the SmartCast system anymore, but at the time they had what was called the SmartCast system, where you literally trained the algorithm to send you auditions that you had the highest chance of booking. And
Okay.
that, with that done, it really started to get the ball rolling for me. And then I won Cracking the Voiceover Code, which was a contest put out by Sovas and VO Peeps, and Gankuza and Joan and Rudy, and that made a big difference. I won
Gotcha.
a I won a trip to New York to attend Cracking the Voiceover Code, and I guess I cracked the voiceover code. And looking back on that, there were a lot of traps, if you will,
Hmm.
that really illustrated the full understanding of what we do from a business perspective versus just the talking part. Even the minutia, what many people, pardon me, would consider minutia of proper file labeling,
Hmm.
getting things in on time, making sure your audio is good, and just having it together to present the best possible picture of yourself as a professional. And the irony is, I was by no means a full time. I wasn't sustainably working in VO.
Hmm.
Um, and so before, kind of just remembering this all of a sudden, before I went to that, Uncle Roy Yokelson helped me with just making sure my audio was tweaked and it was good and we were all set. And um, I didn't have anything. I didn't have a website. I didn't have business cards. I didn't have anything. And Roy helped me put together this demo because I didn't have a demo. I had created rather a DIY thing because I did have strong production skills.
Hmm.
And from an auditory perspective, it had quality sound.
Hmm.
It was garbage. It was absolute garbage. As was my first business card. So it was, yeah, and it's fun to sort of look back at those humble beginnings and the rolling dumpster fire that I think we are bound to be when we start out, because you don't know what you don't know. I mean,
Right.
I didn't have any guidelines for a business card. I didn't have a website, and I figured showing up to a voiceover conference, seminar, whatever the case may be, with absolute called cracking the voiceover code.
Right.
Um, showing up with absolutely nothing but gratitude and a pocket full of wow. Just really didn't illustrate. I figured it would be like walking into a PETA convention with a ham sandwich. It just seemed like the most wrong and offensive thing to do. So I pulled some stuff together real quick and pretended like I knew what the hell I was doing.
All right. So have you, as you have continued to figure out what to do with your dumpster fire, what does your voiceover day look like now? Like, what is your average? I mean, I know work comes in sporadically and things change, but like, what is your like overall structure, if you have any?
I don't think I really have one. And that
Okay.
is something that I would now, when I find myself with the opportunity to impart certain things to people, people ask me business questions,
Right.
and I'm not the one for that. I will give them the name of somebody who can help them with
Well,
that.
then let me
Be,
change this to be
for
okay.
for that, the reason being
Okay.
that is one of the things that has perpetuated elements of, embers in the dumpster fire that could have been avoided
Mm-hmm.
had I done things a certain way. When I started, my kids were very, very, very little. So I worked in pockets, and my workday was 24 hours because I worked when I could and I did things when I could. And so, and thank goodness my youngest didn't sleep for 6 years. So I did a lot of work in the middle of the night and so forth. Um, Setting those guidelines and
Mhm.
setting those boundaries, and I got sort of locked into not having limits and boundaries and structure for what is work and what is home, and everything is just a hybrid existence.
Mhm.
And I it's easy enough for somebody to say, I don't have an entrepreneurial mind.
Right.
That's also an excuse, because if you start implementing the most basic of business frameworks,
Mhm.
when you make the decision to do this, once you are established and once the wheels on the bus are going round and round, um, yes, that was to torture parents of small children, things are smoother. Things are not necessarily easier, but if there are things that are already second nature to your business practice, then there are things you don't have to stress over.
Right.
You already have a machine that your creative can run on top of. And so, yeah, get that right out of the gate before you're even working on a regular basis. Learn foundational nuts and bolts logistics of business
Mhm.
and do it. Get it on paper. When you learn to do certain things, whether it's drafting or certain elements of design, of larger scale design things,
Mhm.
um, stock trading, whatever the case may be, there's a period of time where you trade paper or you just simply design on paper, because if you start building out into bigger models, you lose money or you lose resources or you
Right.
lose materials and so forth and so on. So I would equate it to that. You know, pretend like you have certain things happening with your CRM
Mhm.
and so forth and so on, and create scenarios that you can answer. So man, so when the creative elements of what you're doing kick into play, you don't have to think about all that other shit.
Right. Well, then, how are you defining success for yourself as you like continue to build? And I mean, I know that's a step by step sort of thing, but like, what do you define as like a successful moment, whether it be monetary or like an event within your business? Like, how do you define that I succeeded at this?
The very first milestone where I felt I had reached where I had financial success
Hmm.
was when, and you may have heard me say this before, the cookies went on the front of the conveyor belt at the grocery store, because for so long it had been the food stamps and the just literal penny pinching.
Hmm.
And I still do coupons, but
Yeah.
to make everything go just
Now they're all
absolutely.
digital.
I know. It's just like it's like gamified. Oh,
Oh,
75
I
cents
want
off
that. Oh,
this
well,
and
now
that
I'm
and want
buying
that
this. Oh, it looks
and
like
all of
this is
these
going in
things.
my pasta tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, here's something I will never use, but now I have a coupon for it, so I have to buy it. So this 75-cent coupon just cost me $3. Um,
Right.
and but it was that moment when I was on that first grocery trip where anything that something that wasn't essential didn't go on the back, on the metal part, waiting for the subtotal. You
Right.
know, it's so that that moment of doing that and having that liberation, walking away from assistance and the things that were carrying me through to to keep lights on.
Yeah.
And from there, it's there's a lot of stuff I think I still don't get.
Yeah. Like,
It just
well, what's another struggle that you're like like you're trying to aim towards overcoming right now?
I don't know if it's a struggle.
Hmm.
It's weird to say. I guess there's just stuff I don't think about or that I don't consider.
Yeah. Like what?
Um, I The first time I was asked to speak
Hmm.
at a conference, I was like, why? What? What? Me? What? And so for quite some time, I struggled with overwhelming imposter syndrome because there are people who have formal educations in theater and maybe they're trained singers or they're formerly. See, I talk for a living.
Right.
You know, I guess in a way because I couldn't. It sounds so weird to hear the words come out of my mouth because it makes no sense, and I would tell anybody who said these things to me, "Is your problem?"
Well, did
Um,
we send you the wrong script? Did it have typos for the interview or?
it's your. It's just so weird to hear myself say back that I guess because I don't know what I do that affords me the opportunity to have the success that I've had. Um, that I wasn't sure what I had to impart to other people necessarily. In terms of a presenter's position, or because I don't do the business thing. I'm horrible at the business thing, and I don't know. Maybe to some degree, when I consider the type of effort I've put into it by comparison, and don't ever compare yourself to other people, but I see other people who just work so doggedly inside frameworks, great frameworks that they have trained for, that they've learned for, and they have all of these business things. And I see some people who are incredibly successful
Hmm.
with these things as tools. And then I see other people that are not incredibly successful and are doggedly using these tools. And they'll ask me questions about marketing, like, how do you market yourself? How do you do this? Like, I, I, I don't ask that guy because I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I don't know. So, what were we talking
Well,
about?
well, a lot of at least what I've seen from your success has been just strict authenticity. I mean, you're not afraid to bring yourself, which actually, how are you able to bring your full self to the mic without, I mean, you're not a boring person, but sometimes like morning reads or auditions, they can sometimes sound boring when you're not trying to put on an announcer voice. How are you bringing like all of your experiences to your reads with you? Because
Well, it
I
doesn't
think
have.
that
Well, I understand it doesn't happen all the time. Just because you hear something, and it
right.
sounds.
No, no,
I
no,
did
no, no.
it.
Yeah,
I did a
but
track before bed the other night, and I sent off one of the auditions, and thank goodness it was directly to a CD that I know, because they wrote me back and they said, you know what, this has a certain thing that's very attractive. I think they wanted something more upbeat. So I listened back to it, and I listened to the other things that were on the track because I was trying to get a jump on the day.
right.
And it just looked like it just sounded like I had slammed my face into a wall and just did the talking word sounds thing.
Hmm.
So I guess there was definitely a level of authenticity in that, because I was
Right.
way too tired to be trying to pump out those last few reads before I went to bed, so I could cut them down and send them out in the morning.
Hmm.
Um, to be blatantly honest, I starting before my oldest was born,
Hmm.
certainly with some cathartic milestones, I had to break and rebuild. And when I came into the industry, that whole dumpster fire thing far exceeded anything that has to do with entrepreneurial savvy or anything else. Um, I've been so many different things and incarnations or iterations of myself in terms of mental health and stability, and the type of person that I was as a result of just the space that I inhabited.
Hmm.
That when my oldest was born, I had this epiphany.
Uh-huh.
You can't be fucking crazy anymore, because crazy people raise fucked up kids. And I wasn't going to see that happen with my kids. So the universe was compassionate enough to start sort of chipping away things that lent a different perspective and just personal insights as I moved through different stages of life and parenthood and dealing with different things, and seeing that just like old operating systems that I had worked from weren't serving me anymore. The life that I was trying to build was not compatible with the software I was running in my mind, in my own headspace. And I just sort of walked through fire in the purging sense, and just saw things differently. I allow myself to see things differently that I might have in another time in my life. That lends a lot of clarity. And in the process of that, I'm raising kids, and there's just biological maturation happening. And I still do a lot of bullshit, starting with myself. So if I find myself reacting to something in a particular way, I can gut check and say, wait a minute, how does this benefit anybody? What am I really pissed off over? What is, what's going on here? And then developing the understanding of how kind of immutably hinged 1 minute is to the next. Little things like, if you're late to get someplace, well, guess what? That's on you. If you wake up 15 minutes late, that's on you. And that just the accountability factor of the choices that we make instead of excuses, and allowing myself to embrace accountability, even if it sucks or it stings, peeling back layers from my life, past and just some super cringe periods in life, and looking at them, just nastiness, and saying, okay, yep, that's on me. That's on me. And even some things I think maybe that weren't on me, but being able to allow myself some level of accountability or taking some level of responsibility for my part in them, even if it's kind of contrived. Well, I decided to turn left instead of right. That gave me that moment back,
Hmm.
in that I owned it then. If I could take responsibility for any element of it, if I could hold myself accountable for any element of it, that's not to be confused with blame, but responsibility and accountability, I then had control of that moment. So if the acts or actions of another person or a situation or whatever transpired after a particular said moment that I decided that I could be accountable or responsible for, it wasn't theirs anymore.
Right.
So then that thing couldn't hurt me anymore because it was my decision. I could own it. And some of those moments that I've done that with, it's kind of semantics.
Right.
But in taking, and I think that's something that a lot of us struggle with, is feeling out of control, or having been subject to certain things in our world that made us feel as though we didn't have control.
Well, I mean, I think that's a big part of an influence that this industry can have on you as well. Because once you get sent an audition, after you send it out into the ether, whether you get that job, it's out of your control. You know
Yes,
what I mean? And so you continuously have pieces of your art that you send out, and you don't know if it's going to be resonated with or not. But I mean,
but you don't.
I agree that the ability to rebuild and rebuild and restructure and to have tenacity,
Mhm.
that's what makes you rise in this business.
And rebuilding our core, whether
Yeah,
it's as a human
I don't
being
just
or a
mean as a booth.
performer,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's, I guess I'm not afraid of where authentic things live anymore.
Hmm.
And I'm not afraid to, the risk is not taking risk.
Right.
So for me to stand up and, look at specs and wonder what a casting director or a buyer is looking for or listening for, that that's not safe. That is the risk.
Right.
So not considering that is safe,
Right.
which is the exact opposite, I think, of what a lot of people perceive. Um, and if I send out an honest submission, then I've done my job.
Beautiful.
That's Sometimes I get paid for my job. Sometimes I do not get paid for my job.
Right.
But at the end of the day, just and make no mistake, in the beginning, and that's also having the benefit of, nobody can say, well, you don't understand. Yeah, I do,
Mhm.
because I was freaking psychotic in the early days of, this has to work. Everything depends on this. I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't book this thing. A gig that I would have had to drive to their studio about 45 minutes away or whatever on the mainland. It paid $200, and I would have crawled over crushed glass to book that gig at the time. And that's a real pivotal moment, because now I have the opportunity to look at something that records in Boston or whatever, and if I have to be on site, $200 is not going to get me off Cape, because
Right.
it will cost me more than that by being away from from what I'm doing, and that's a beautiful problem to have.
Yeah.
It is. I'm very grateful for that problem. Um, I also have Source Connect, so let's work something
Yeah.
out. So yeah, I got you. And that whole, you're treating my mail like a one-armed bandit and hitting refresh, and that headspace and that dire sense. And it was actually Stephen Lowell with Voice 123 who, God bless it, he talked me off the ledge so many times. Um, he's the first person to tell me that when we have that sense of desperation, when we have that overthinking mechanism in it, when we record, and thank goodness it was pretty early on. It's probably not quite a year into, still had training wheels on. He told me that's audible. You can hear it in somebody's read. And I thought that was the craziest thing, but I trusted him implicitly. So I started learning how to literally and metaphorically leave everything at the door. And when I walked into the studio and stood in front of the mic, just claim that space. Nothing else is allowed in there with me. And 98% of the time, I hold firm to that. I'm also a neurotic freaking human being. So sometimes I'm like, yeah.
Right.
You also can't write your grocery list while you're reading long form, you know?
That's
Just,
true.
so whatever pulls you away from that moment that you're in, whether it's a sense of desperation or the anxiety or neuroses of a foundational fear of not being good enough,
Right.
or not doing it right. It's the understanding that nobody will ever walk up to the microphone and do it right, because there's no such thing. We can't possibly know what right is. The people we're sending it to, there isn't a right. You just have to do it real, and just do the thing. And that sounds very cavalier or whatever, but foundationally, the more we can strip away, the more honest a performance we can give to anything, the more likely it's going to resonate with somebody, because we're talking to people from a human space on a human level. And that's having heard it and understood it, listening to different tracks from people or working with individuals to try to help them get to the state where they give themselves permission on a regular basis to do, to just be rather than try and do. I remember the first time I heard him, like, holy shit, that's what he's talking about. And it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the energy that we have, and the energy that we fill our environment with at the mic. I know this is like patchouli soaked wind car driving shit, but it works for me. I've lied to myself about so much over the years until the understanding of the truth behind it was there, and it just works amazing. Apparently, it's very easy to manipulate myself. Just being over doing, because we're human beings.
Right. So with your voiceover and home ecosystem being so meshed together, what do you do outside of the voiceover industry that brings you joy? Like what are you things that you do to like go explore and to kind of rest in yourself, and what else do you like to do? What else are the pieces that make up hobbies or parts of the day that are you?
I used to go to karaoke. I love
Yeah?
karaoke.
Karaoke.
Over time, things became so enmeshed
Mm-hmm.
that despite having opportunities, it's a twofold thing. I will get very antsy and feel very claustrophobic and think to myself, oh my gosh, I need people. I want to go out and meet people. I want to find people, and I'm gonna do things with people, and I'm gonna to find more people and have more friends, and we do more things, and we're gonna start a household. And I go out and I find groups of people, and I'm like, people.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, this isn't what I wanted.
Mm-mm. I wanted one-on-one time, not a crowd.
or even it's even yeah. Wow, you're as fucked up as I used to be. I don't.
Right.
I don't. I guess I think I'm a fairly low maintenance human being. Feed me and tell me I'm pretty. Really, that's all I need.
Okay.
That's all I need. And I go out in places and spaces where I think I might meet like people. I'm surprised that their life would just be so much easier if that's the way we existed, I think. But I do have, but on the other end of that spectrum, there are some very, very dear people here that I fail to make the time for. And that sucks because they're very cool. And I don't know why I don't do more to, again, create those limits and boundaries and spaces, because I'm not working 24 fucking hours a day. I'm not being productive that period of time. I spin my wheels a lot. And so I don't consolidate that time. So despite the fact there is no reason that I can't stop and go have lunch with my buddy Lori, or the wonderful, talented, amazing Nancy Boebert lives here, which is just a freaking gem. And I don't take advantage of time and opportunities to spend time with the people that are here. So the short answer to your question, that was the very long answer without an answer. Hey, you know who you asked to be here.
I definitely do.
You knew what was going to happen. You knew this was going to be an editing nightmare of just...
No, there is going to be no editing except when you were eating chicken and rice.
The chicken and rice? Okay.
I'll edit that out. But everything else stays.
Clearly I don't care. But it was good too. I mean, oh no, come back. No, Stay with me.
Come on
Stay
back.
with me.
Bring it back.
Okay.
Bring it back.
Bring it back. Here
Come
we
on.
go.
I'll do the physical reel if you need to. Reel it in. Reel it in. Come on. All right. Maybe my questions just aren't fun enough. Maybe that's why you keep getting derailed.
No.
I'm gonna ask you a fun question. Continue.
Do
your train of thought.
No, dude, we met. There's just there's no question.
Right, you're a shoe full of dinosaurs.
I am. I'm a shoe full of dinosaurs. Can we just talk about that for a second?
Sure.
You are amazing.
Aw, thanks.
And they're close too. I should go get them and eat my gummy peaches.
The shoe full of dinosaurs.
The shoe full of dinosaurs, dude. That's, you know what? That's what I do for fun. I get on an airplane, and I guess maybe that's the way I look at it too, is I am a hermit. And then I get on an airplane and nothing is left to chance, because I know when I get off that plane that I am going to a place that is just going to absolutely fill my sponge back up with all of the energies and the people and the stuff and the stuff and the stuff and the stuff. And yeah, there are people out there who, it's so ridiculous. It just...
Well, VO conferences are a family reunion. That's what
they are. They are.
It's a room full of people that both you've connected with throughout the multiple years that you've been in the industry, and they're also a room full of people that get the shit we do every single day.
And
Like,
how weird.
oh,
And we're just freaking weird,
we're
dude.
so weird. Voiceover conferences are so weird. It's a bunch of That's why my
We're just all a bunch of yeah.
right. That's why I always wear. I made a shirt that says "Silly Goose Conference" that I wear at least one day to every single conference, for the reason that we're just a whole bunch of weirdos in one room, and every person's weird makes them unique, and it's so cool.
And that thing, that weirdness, and there's a profound irony, because I will meet somebody at a conference and I'm like, you are so sublimely weird. Oh my gosh, I
There's
love
a difference between
every.
being blind and embracing, by the
I
way.
said sublime. I said
Oh, I
sublimely.
thought you said so blindly. Sorry.
No, sublime.
Continue.
Okay, kids, not the vocabulary. Wait.
Sorry,
And
you're
then
not
I
going to book
hear-
it. Enunciation. Continue.
Yeah, and then I hear them read, and I'm like, where's that?
Yeah.
I want to feel that. I want to hear that
Yeah.
thing, because it's not tangible. You can't say what it is. And the thing is when we're someplace else, when we live in the real world and we come from different walks, unless you grow up in the in the entertainment community or whatever, where what is weird in the mainstream is not weird in Hollywood, and it's embraced, and normies are the strange ones. I don't know, but that's the kind of thing that gets weeded out of us. And when we're with each other, we feel safe, just letting all that freak flag fly thing. But then we get up to the mic and we make sure we cover all that up and sound pretty.
Mhm.
And that's kind of a lot of what we talk about in terms of getting past the places where the things that make us so beautifully unique and weird, and all the names that a lot of us were called in school, or that any negative consequences that we've ever seen as a result of what makes us most viable and happy and true and authentic and real. People get stuck in their heads. We're conditioned to believe that we have to hide all that stuff away from the rest of the world.
Mhm.
And that authenticity, bringing the authenticity to getting past that, is really what made all the difference.
Right.
Understanding that what makes me my brand of weird is different than your brand of weird, but we have some weird stuff that's in common. And from each person to each person to each person, all of the things that we spend most of our lives trying to hide from other people, now in this industry, we not only have the opportunity to embrace those things, but it's kind of an imperative.
Right.
Because the more we try to hide, the more detriment we're doing to ourselves,
Or
at least on the mic.
everybody else, yeah.
Yeah, and I get it. If you go to a PTA meeting, there are constructs. There are social constructs that we may be expected to abide by, but if we so choose, or we can accept whatever the social consequence is for that. It's the choice. And but once we're in our rooms, once we're in our space, once we're at our conventions and conferences, we don't have to cover anything up.
Which is so ironic that being in an enclosed room lets you out of your cage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's our own little bubbles.
Yeah.
And we have to claim that space. And for me personally, it wasn't just, you say what things do I do for fun that aren't work? I used to, and I still will. I like to paint. I do like to paint. I paint. I'm running out of wall, but yeah, I paint and whatnot. And that, when the kids were small, I would have it went from being a playpen to a mattress outside of the studio door and so forth and so on. So they weren't running, or I don't think Andrew was even fully running at the time that I started all this. The But physically walking through that threshold and claiming that space, that's one of the places I used to paint. I used to like to paint in my bitch box. Um, because not even when you're a mother of small kids, the bathroom isn't even safe. And there's no headspace. There's no space that is yours.
Mm-hmm.
And inside of that, on the other side of that threshold, has always been mostly mine. And so yeah, I would even paint in there sometimes too.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's fun. Again, what was the question?
So, all right. So, if you were to ride a dinosaur to a diner at the end of the galaxy, what kind of dinosaur would it be, and what are you ordering?
It's a triceratops.
Okay.
No,
A galactic triceratops? No.
stegosaurus.
A
Yeah.
galactic stegosaurus. Okay.
Yes, the stegosaurus is the one that has the. It's like
Across
it's like
the spine. The little.
okay, that's just
like,
it. Okay, so the triceratops has like
is the two horns,
has the two horns
and then the one on his nose.
his nose, and then it has like a fan thing on its head, right?
Yes, that's the triceratops.
Galactic triceratops,
Okay.
because I could then stand on his head also and
That's true.
hold onto that plate.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's like
I'm getting
majestic,
a full mental
right?
image.
Yeah,
So majestic.
yeah.
Hair flowing in the wind. Beautiful.
So flowy,
Your
so
hair
flowy.
blending with the cosmos. Yep.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and of course, my triceratops is painted up in full galactic ceremonial regalia.
Oh, yeah.
Duh.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna go to a diner at the end of the galaxy with my naked triceratops.
Ceremonial in what way?
Festoonery.
Ooh.
Because we're leaving the fucking house. Call it a parade.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, I see. Yeah, there's gem encrusted on that front shield.
Oh,
plate.
bedazzled. Oh, I love
So bedazzled, so bedazzled,
it.
and synthetic because who has the time? The yeah, and that's cool. It feels nice.
Yeah.
It feels very nice.
And so you get to the diner. What are you gonna order?
Pudding.
What kind of pudding?
Butterscotch.
Ooh.
And it's the old-fashioned kind too, like my Grammy made,
Uh-huh.
where the in Corningware cups. Apparently, I've just died and gone to some weird celestial
Beautiful.
afterlife place that
has your grandmother's cookware. I love this.
That has my grandmother's crockery and pudding.
Beautiful.
And the person behind me, in the booth behind me, also ordered butterscotch pudding, and except they don't like the skin, and they were complaining. I'm like, I got you. So I get to eat the skin off the top of my butterscotch pudding and their butterscotch pudding. And there's tapioca, but I don't want both of them at the same time. And then I have this incredible
Well, you can spend time at the diner for a while. Oh.
Yeah, I can be there as long as I want because my triceratops is already eaten.
So,
No, you took me here.
No.
And there's a malted milkshake.
No. What I'm asking is, so apparently the best butterscotch pudding in the world was your grandmother's. So where is the best burger in the world from? That's where I was getting at. I wanted to continue this. What is the best burger that you've ever just put in your face? That's now at this diner.
It's from the Shake Shack in London.
Okay.
And I don't know. It's funny because I make a damn good burger at home, but the Shake Shack in London, I will never ever ever have another burger like the Shake Shack in London that I had at midnight with Scott Chambers and Jake Moon after the Jack the Ripper tour and a double-decker bus tour of London at night. We sat down, and on a Scott, you would think I'd never had a cheeseburger before in my life. And it was just the most experientially delicious thing I've ever had. It was amazing. Yeah, I'm not going to have a burger to top that probably ever.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool. It's amazing because it's visceral. It's visceral. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Fuck
So the burger from that night.
Heard. Okay.
And fries.
And fries.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Are you a ketchup person?
Yes, and
Okay.
yes, I like ketchup on fries.
Mm-hmm.
I don't put ketchup on everything. I'm not a ketchup person in that sense, but I do like ketchup on my fries. I like mayonnaise on my fries.
I like mayonnaise and hot sauce.
Yeah, mayonnaise, hot sauce. I'm a sauce person.
Me too. Yeah. What is food but like a vessel to
yeah, exactly. It's a vehicle. It's yes. Yes. My sister and I think Bridget Reel was with us. Yeah, it had to have been Bunny. We went to LA in 2019 for Solos. We all met up together at Proud Mary's in NeHo, and we were going to do for karaoke. And if you ever have the opportunity to hear Bridget Reel sing, do.
I've heard her read, never heard her sing.
God, I hate her. She does all the things.
Right.
And
I heard her make a Nintendo read sound sexy. Like, yeah, she can do all the things. Bridget is.
Yeah.
And she gives amazing hugs. Jesus Christ.
She does give them because she means them. She means them. You don't get a side hug. You don't get a side hug from Bridget. Nope. And she's a fantastic example, as is Lynn Norse, of those people who have the right and left brain in agreement, where they have all of the business and entrepreneurial elements and are incredible performers.
Oh, yeah.
And these are the people that keep me, from like wandering into traffic when I travel. And so I just want some more of that, the ability to keep myself out of traffic, I guess. So that would be cool. And
I don't know. I think I
found my way back.
I think you run into traffic and you teach traffic how to play, but continue.
No, that's
what I love about you. But
yeah,
continue.
You shot the gap on that one. That was, don't give me that much credit. I don't teach traffic how to play. I just get lucky to be not dead. And at Proud Mary's, they had they served incredible chicken tenders. Was the other it had to have been tenders. I don't know if I think the tenders themselves were pretty remarkable, but they know how to do it because it was a plate of tenders and every sauce you can imagine. So we had fries, we had tenders, and we had all kinds of sauces. And I'm like, there you go. That's the thing. Oh, I also saw the Ronda. I also saw the Holly and Rousey fight there with my dad. With my dad, as a matter of fact, a different year. Okay. So anyway, I think it's called Proud Mary's. Yeah, good place. I like NeHo.
Heard. So if you were to write yourself a letter and you were able to send it back in time to when you first transitioned into trying to do voiceover full time, what would you tell your past self?
Wow. Buckle up, bitch. I don't know. I mean, spoilers. I say that because
it doesn't have to be spoilers. It can be preparation or thank you or like anything. Like, you know what I mean? If you had that one opportunity.
No, I think probably.
Something. Other than invest in cryptocurrency now, like
right,
like,
get out, short sale, learn it, do it. The business element, But the thing is, because I know me now, and I know me then, and I know me at 13, and I know me at 20, and
Yeah.
whatever I were to send back to myself, am I going to listen to me? Am I going to believe me? Am I, if I'm doing it to make my today self feel some sense of some sort of validation, then I think the chance, and I understand the metaphoric element of it.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go back and I send myself anything other than buckle up, bitch, then who am I going to end up being today?
That's true.
Every moment that we have is immutably hinged to the one prior to it. And I believe that at any given point in time, wherever we are in our life and in our world, if we can physically stop and find 5 things in our field of vision for which we can be grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even mean the big things. Like, I'm healthy, I woke up today. That's a cop-out. I mean, like, right here, I'm grateful that I have this mug
All right.
for 2 reasons. Number 1, I'm grateful that I have a mug. I'm grateful that I have coffee to put in it. I'm super happy and grateful that I have decent coffee to put in it.
Yeah.
And that I got this mug in London at OBC, UK. So no matter how shit my day gets, and being a positive person, living in gratitude isn't the same as thankful. I don't believe. I believe that you can be grateful for individual things. Living in gratitude is a state of being, and living positive, and a positive mindset, living in gratitude. That doesn't mean that you don't have shitty days. It doesn't mean that things don't go wrong. I think some people have misunderstandings about that. Somebody actually was a little ugly to me one day about it, because I'm on a shit day. Well, aren't you just catching positivity and unicorn? I'm like, bitch, that's not how it
No,
works.
that's not.
And also, don't mock the unicorn, because unicorns, the whole unicorn, that doesn't mean that you're the picture of sweet. Unicorns can be assholes.
Right.
I'm just a human person being thing. I'm not the
Gratitude comes from shitty days.
yeah.
Like, that's how that shit works.
That's how
You
that
have
that's
to
how
have
that works.
bad days to appreciate the good
Appreciate
ones.
what you
Right.
have, exactly. And the appreciation for the you don't, whatever metaphors or whatever for the unicorn thing, they don't eat glitter, they eat shit and poop sparkles or whatever, because it's what you do with it. It's what you do with what you take in.
Right.
That has everything to do with the way it leaves you. From your energy, from even your physical body, from how you project it back out. And it doesn't mean avoidance denial, which I'm really good at too. But just the notion of how you process things and how I process things. I can't make anybody process anything a particular way. I can't control my environment outside of being able to control myself. And if I make choices about the way I choose to comport myself, the perspective I lend to something,
Mm-hmm.
can that change the course of a moment? Yes, it can. Will it necessarily change the perspective of another person? No. That can't be my goal, because I don't have control over that person.
Right.
I have control over me. That is it. Well, my kids.
Yeah.
I keep telling them that. There's marginal belief whether I do or not. I
You'll
don't.
never have control over your kids.
No.
No. That never happens. That never works.
Don't take that from me.
All right, so where can people find Jenn Henry and her amazing demos and all of the wonderful magic that
gosh.
comes
Don't
with
say.
Jenn Henry? You are magic. Shut your face. You
Well,
know.
the thing, no, so because instantly I thought, oh shit, I need to update my website. I need to get my new demos up, and I need to. I'm bad at that. I'm bad at admin. I'm bad at admin.
Oh.
I'm bad at admin. No, I'm good at admin. At some point in my process, I choose to not execute it well. The Jen with two N's. It's always two N's.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, that wasn't even a hard question. Jen,
do you know? So, do you know your URL? Are you? Wait,
where am I?
Am I interviewing the real Jenn Henry, or is it?
Good Lord, or I'm wearing somebody else's underwear.
Oh,
That was so. It was so cool to hear Troy Baker talk about Val Kilmer, and people. I mean, obviously, I've never met Val Kilmer, but some of his works. You know, that's another one of the things that from Real Genius I quote all the time. Are you Jen? Or I'm wearing somebody else's underwear. You're going to go back and watch that so you don't think I'm utterly insane. No. So, Jenn, 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 Jenn Henry Creatives.
Hold on.
What?
Let me Google your website. So, like, maybe.
No, I'm certain that I'm saying it right. It's Jenn Henry. Oh my gosh.
Hold on.
How do I even tie my shoes? I'm not dumb.
I never said you were dumb.
I'm telling myself. I'm having that internal argument because there's that little P portion of my brain that goes, oh, dude, could you be more of an idiot? Like, well, yeah, I totally could. But yeah, I'm not. Yeah, JennHenryCreatives.com. Yeah.
JennHenryCreatives.com. Hold on. Get in touch with Jenn and let her bring a bit of her rare mythical creature magic ballyhoo to your project.
I didn't write that.
Are you sure?
I am. I have a brilliant SEO writer named Lynn Norris.
Heard.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And she is one of the more under-recognized talent in our industry.
Oh, she's amazing. I love her.
She's freaking sick. She does all the things and medical narration, and she's a multi-voice character actor, and yeah.
So on your website, it says Jenn is the CEO, COO, CIO, talent, and chief cook and bottle washer of her busy schedule voiceover business. What is a chief cook and bottle washer? I'm curious now.
That is probably an expression that you maybe are not old enough to understand, or it's too obscure. It's an old expression.
Maybe a little bit.
That means that you wear all the hats.
Okay.
Okay. The chief, the cook, and the bottle washer. So that means that you do all this shit yourself.
Okay. Heard.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Anything else that I didn't write that you want to ask me about?
You're good to go. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been so much fun. I really hope you enjoyed this amazing and really fun episode. I mean, we laughed, we cried, we connected, and we really embraced every part of who we are. And we kind of talked about how that translates to what's heard when you record. And if you'd like to get to know more about Jenn, you can visit her website at www.jennhenrycreatives.com. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to the Voiceover Coffee Shop. For more information on guests, new episodes, and more, be sure to visit www.vocoffeeshop.com.